Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. I know it's been a really long time since I've been over here, so today we're keeping it really simple. We're just getting some messages from Spirit, channeling some general messages for you, seeing what Spirit has to say since it's been a while for me. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you, and basically you're going to see which of these cards is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in towards it, and then as soon as you make up your mind, just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and the description and jump right into your pile. So like I said, I know it's been a while since I've been over here, but I am still posting over on my Patreon. And if you've been missing my content, that's where you can find me. I'm just way too busy in my own personal life to be posting still on YouTube. I'm hoping I'll be able to come back in the future, but for right now, like I said, I'm over on Patreon. That's where I'm posting all my content. And if you join right now, I think you can still participate in the little poll we're doing to decide some of the next topics. So if you're interested in joining, getting access to over 100 exclusive readings, and of course, early access to all my YouTube videos, then head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description, and I would love to see you there. I do miss everyone here on YouTube, but I just don't have as much time. So yeah, that's where you can find me. I would love to see you there. And if you're interested in getting a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. I took a break on that too, but now I'm resuming my private sessions. So if you're interested in a pre-recorded reading, a live Zoom session, whether you want it to be focused on tarot, astrology, channeling, mediumship, you get to really customize your time with me. So it's the perfect session for you. So if that sounds good to you, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So that's about all I have to say, guys. If you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey pile one, welcome to your reading. So you guys got the High Priestess, the Three of Swords, the Death card, the Ten of Swords, the Six of Pentacles, and the Empress, aka the Lady in this deck. So wow, I feel like there is such a powerful message coming through of rebirth, and Spirit almost saying like a lot of you guys know that you're stepping into a new era of change. A lot of you guys know that things are shifting in your life, and I'm feeling a lot of nervousness coming through, kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. There's almost this feeling of like, I've anticipated this for the longest time. I've wanted this, I've asked for this, but now that it's here, like, I don't know what to do. And there's a lot of questioning, there's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of worry. We have the Ten of Swords. But I feel like Spirit is saying, first of all, you're really going through this major transition. Like whatever was bothering you in the past, the other card you guys got, by the way, is the Judgment card. I just can't show you because it's a little risque of an image on this deck. But that shows literally someone being reborn. And that's really what I am feeling for you guys. It's like your old identity is dying. Like it's over. And it's almost like there's nothing you can do to pick that back up anyway. Like the door is closed is what I'm getting. You know, I'm getting this firm message that like, that era has passed and you can't go back, and you wouldn't want to be honest, because that old you was so much less empowered and strong, and this is so much more aligned with who you truly are in your soul and what you really want for yourself. The old you was putting up with situations that weren't actually fulfilling you and weren't actually making you happy, and you're stepping into this new era and this new identity where you have so much power and you're able to choose your destiny. Like we got the High Priestess card for you and the Empress. Those are probably, I mean, it depends, but arguably the two most empowered feminine energies when it comes to the whole deck. Of course, you have some queen cards on the minor arcana, but these are the major arcana cards. And I just feel like you guys are so empowered. I feel like there's this energy coming through that like you're stepping into a new era of authority, and you're not even going to be aware of where this road takes you. Like if you could only see where you were headed, you'd be probably too freaked out. So Spirit is kind of like just letting you see a few steps ahead, but this is so exciting. This is such a beautiful path, and it feels like such a, like almost, I want to say, I know it's the wrong word, but scary path. Like I'm seeing this windy path going up a mountain road. You know how sometimes on like TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever, there'll be like footage someone will post, sometimes with like the Jet 2 holiday sound, but of like someone going up like this crazy scary looking road, and there's like no guardrails, and you know, like it's like super dangerous, and it's like sheer cliffs, and you know if that bus falls off that like there's no way you can survive, and it's super high up. But that's what I'm seeing for you guys. I know that sounds bad, but it's actually so positive, because I feel like this is about helping you achieve things that you never thought possible, like going to new heights and having new things happen in your destiny, in your life path that you could never have plotted out. And yeah, it's scary, but you're also being guided. Like so much of the time, those drivers that are used to driving on those roads, they're experts. And as scary as it may feel to be on a bus, you know, like 1,000 feet up in the air or whatever, and there's no guardrails at all, and it's like a little mountain, I don't know, dirt path, you're still gonna be okay. And I feel like that's the message for you, is like, trust me, this is so aligned, this is so divinely guided, and you don't need to worry about any of that, okay? You have completely got this. And I feel like Spirit is just saying, why are you spending time ruminating or thinking about the negative, or looking back to your past, or thinking about, you know, what should have been or what could have been different? Why not just enjoy where you're at right now? Why not just focus on like taking in the incredible moment you're at right now? Because I feel like you're going to look back in the future and be like, oh my God, that was a destiny moment that shifted everything, and that was like a golden era for me. And again, Spirit is like giving you the credit with the Empress card and the High Priestess that you guys manifested this. You guys made this happen for yourself. And Spirit also is giving you that huge pat on the back and saying like, hey, you did this. You need to give yourself that credit. You need to, you know, you need to give yourself props for this, because it's like not everyone could have done this. A lot of you guys have shifted off of a path onto a completely new one, and that's not easy, okay? That is not an easy thing to do, and a lot of people would never have been able to like reverse ancestral trauma and ancestral karma the way you have, or completely shift a destiny life path you're on. A lot of you guys have really done a lot of deep spiritual work, and this era is over. You guys got the 10 of Swords. That shows an end to a period of worry and stress. And I feel like if you allow, and it's also like, that's it. Like once you get the 10 of Swords, it's like, that's done, you know? And I feel like for you, we also got the Death card. I mean, this old part of your life is done. And I feel like the sooner you can just embrace that and like enjoy. And also Spirit is saying there are people that are so bitter about this transformation you're going through. There are people that are like so not okay with seeing this new path you're on, and they are hating on the side, and let them hate. Maybe some of you guys are ruminating about people from the past, and those people never had good intentions for you in the first place. I feel like you are stepping out of an old pathway that was holding you back, and it was not people who were like looking out for your best interest. It was not people who really were rooting for you. Maybe you sensed that energy, and that's why you moved out of it. But either way, you are stepping into something so much better. Let me get into some message cards for you. Pile number 1. I'm going to do a little shuffle here. And also with the 6 of Pentacles, to me, this is coming through as like, this is a gift. This is a blessing. You know, this is something that, trust and believe, this is happening for your benefit. This is not happening to punish you or to be bad for you. This is like an opportunity. This is a beautiful shift. Let's see. What cards are we going to get for pile number 1? What messages do we have for pile number 1? Archangel Raguel, Justice, Harmony, Solutions. Okay, so there's also a karmic element to this. And it's funny because the 6 of Pentacles isn't technically necessarily a karmic card, but that was the first thing I also got, was like the way it shows someone giving someone something. And I just got this like feeling of like Libra energy, justice energy, karmic energy. And I do feel like this is almost like settling a score. Like I said, I can't emphasize it enough, but you have earned this. This has been a long time coming, and this is destined to happen. Okay, so there were some people that, yeah, they were hating from the side. You didn't necessarily know that. You may be such a trusting person that you could never have imagined being this level of a hater. But you had some people around you that didn't want to see you succeed, and they have been removed from your life. And you are being aligned with a way better, way happier path that's going to take you to a much different destination that you could ever have imagined. It's kind of like reminding me, Spirit just showed me the image, I think Columbus, when he landed in America, he thought he had sailed to like China or something like that. Like he didn't know where he was, and he had no idea of even knowing, like no one knew there was land there or something like that. I mean, obviously the people who lived there knew that, but like Columbus had no idea. So he was like, no one in like Europe knew, or I don't know. the point is, I think he did think it was something completely different. Like, I think he thought it was China, or somewhere in Asia. And it turns out, nope, it was a totally new continent that obviously now is, the United States or whatever, wherever he landed. I think he landed in the US. Anyway, the point is, sometimes you don't know where you're at. You can't even fathom it. You don't have that like vocabulary to even comprehend it, right? Like he did not know on a map. There was no map that said like, oh, this is this continent. So he was just like, oh, I think we're in China or whatever, because he couldn't have imagined anything different. He didn't have it in his mind. And it was so totally new. And that's what I'm feeling for you guys is like, the life you're building for yourself, you couldn't have even put this together if you had tried. And this is what's amazing about sometimes leaving things to spirit is like, this is going to be so much better than, whatever you had in mind. Like think about it for Columbus. And I know like, obviously, apparently he's a bad guy. And a lot of people have said like he was a horrible person. So I'm not trying to gas up Columbus or anything like that. But I am saying, think about it like from his perspective. I mean, a lot of people had traded with China. A lot of people probably had, existing trade routes, whatever. And obviously what Columbus was able to do was amass a lot more power for himself because he landed on fresh new land. And that's kind of what you're doing. Like you're creating something brand new, never been done before. And that's why it feels very foreign and scary to you. That's why you're like, I don't really know what I'm even doing, or this doesn't make sense, or this wasn't part of the plan. And that's why some of you guys are getting anxiety, because it's different and it's totally new. And maybe no one else has had this path that you've known in your life. Like I said, there's an element of reversing ancestral karma. And when you reverse ancestral karma, when you're the first in your family line to do something, a lot of times you have no template for how that works. You're not the person who can be like, oh yeah, I earn lots of money because everyone in your family was broke, or, no one in your family had a good relationship. So you don't really know how to do that. You don't really know how to have things be calm and like not full of drama or whatever. So for you, it's going to feel weird and it's going to feel scary. And what's going to feel a lot more familiar is like being broke, spending all your money, not having a good job, or having lots of drama, having lots of fights, whatever the case may be. And for you, I feel like what you're doing is you're completely stepping out into something new. And there is this element of karma on your side and on the other people's side. Like they are also going to be cursed by how they acted towards you, how they treated you. And there are people who just cannot keep up with your energy. You are really shedding old connections. So if you feel like friendships fall off at this time, if you feel like family relationships fall off, if you feel like there are old parts of your identity that are just falling through the cracks, trust me, that is part of the plan. And that's exactly how you're building this new life for yourself. And what you need to do now is have that blind faith. I know sometimes people say I beat a metaphor to death, and I totally get that, but I like to harp on a metaphor because I think there's a lot to unpack, and it's just bringing to my mind Columbus. I know I couldn't have picked probably a more less controversial person to focus on, but like Columbus and how he probably was like, what the heck, once he realized he wasn't in China, like he's in this totally new place, you know what I mean? And there's no existing trade routes, and there's no existing knowledge of like what they have going on. And I can't, imagine what that would be like. I'm not Christopher Columbus, and, probably wouldn't make the same choices he did. But my point is, it was probably really scary. And sometimes when you're doing something new, when you're the first to do something, yeah, it's going to feel really scary. It's going to feel really different. And you're not going to really know even what you have going on. It's going to feel like, oh my God, like I have no clue. That doesn't mean you're not on the right path. And I'm not saying Columbus was on the right path. Again, I feel like now he's so controversial, so I don't want to harp too much on him. But anyway, that was what Spirit was bringing to my mind. Just kind of someone like forging a new frontier, I guess we could say. So we got the achievement card, completion reward. What messages do we have for pile number 1? Balance, centered energy, self-care. And let's get one more. Ancestors. Wow, that makes a lot of sense, because I do feel like you guys are, like I said, working on ancestral karma and ancestral patterns that have been there for a long time, long before you ever showed up. Shamanic healer, cleansing, attunement. Another thing worth mentioning is like you guys are so attuned right now. You're so plugged in. You're so spiritual. You guys did get the High Priestess card, so you're very psychic at this time. So you should also really be trusting any intuitions that come up, any downloads, any visions, any really vivid dreams that you have. You need to be listening to that. You should be writing it down in a dream journal. You should be keeping track. I also got this message so strong that you guys are being divinely protected by angels. You have like a whole team of ancestors around you. You have a whole team guiding you, looking after you, and steering you in a certain direction, okay? If you could only see like the number of people you have cheering you on, and some of these are your ancestors, and they're cheering you on because they're like, we couldn't break the trauma, and they didn't know it was trauma at the time. They didn't realize that they were like effing everything up, right? But now that they're on the other side and they had the like knowledge review you get at the end of your life, now they realize a lot, and they're like, okay, this is such a positive thing. This is such a positive thing that they're reversing out of this and that they're changing this, and they're excited for you to do this. And I feel like one thing that's also coming to my mind on this pathway for you is some of you guys have a way of talking to yourself that's really harsh. Maybe this is part of the ancestral trauma. Maybe you had parents that talked to you really harsh, or someone in your life that was very harsh with you, and sometimes you're very harsh on yourself. This may also come through as like anxiety, always focusing on the negative, always focusing on what could go wrong. Maybe you had some real uncertainty in childhood, and like things didn't feel secure or safe, and whenever your parent was happy, then they'd be mad or whatever. I feel like sometimes when everything is going well for you, some of you guys tend to think like, oh, it's about to go so bad. Oh my God, everything's going to fall apart. Everything's going great. That means it's about to crash. And I feel like you just need to know, like, you're actually entering into so much more of a calm energy. And what you're building is so freaking solid. It's so solid. That's what I love about it. It is like unshakable. Like, this is just the most firm foundation you could ever want. And that's what I'm saying is like your old past that you're leaving behind, that was very shaky. There was a lot of uncertainty. I feel like you felt that deep in your body. You felt this anxiety because of that. You felt like you couldn't really have solid ground. This new path you're on is going to take you somewhere that just feels so safe, so secure, so home-like. Like, you're not going to have to worry. You're not going to have to stress. And it's almost like you're ready to move into that mode now, but you have to leave that anxiety behind first. You have to stop giving in to the worries, the stress, the negative thoughts. Again, you're leaving behind an old identity and you're shifting into a new identity. Maybe this is why Spirit keeps showing me Christopher Columbus of all people, because it's like, think about, he's leaving an old continent, the old world, and moving into the quote unquote new world, a new continent. And it's almost like I'm seeing that literal visual image of like a boat sailing across an ocean with like the sails up. And that's what I'm feeling for you, is like you are so far away from your old path. Think about back in the day. I think that was like 1492, right? I think that's from the song Columbus Sailed the Ocean Blue, 1492. I don't just have like all the random historical times memorized in my head. If it wasn't for that song, I wouldn't know. But the point is, I think, back in the day, it would take you like months to sail across an ocean. Now you can sail across in like a week. But back in the day, you would have to be there for months on end. It was like you couldn't have regular food. You'd just be eating like these nasty biscuits. You'd get scurvy. Lots of people would die on the journey. It was like this horrible thing. Like, you were not about to be like, oh yeah, we went on vacation to, the New World for a week and then we sailed right back. It was something that you were doing, and it was pretty permanent. Like, once you sailed and you landed there, you were going to be there for a while. And that's what I'm feeling for you, is like you are crossing this ocean, or you've already crossed it. And that old life, that old place you lived, it's done. And you really can't go back to it. And you have to accept that. You have to be welcoming into this new life. And I feel like you're going to be so happy. It's such a positive ending. But of course, like all endings, we can't imagine anything new. We can't imagine like what's in store. I mentioned this metaphor before, and I feel like I've probably beaten it to death, but people like it, so I'm going to say it again because I think it's really helpful. It's helped me a lot. Is like, one time I was staying in this hotel, and you can fast forward if you've heard this before. I was staying in this hotel, and there was a really loud noise around 7 a.m. every morning, and I was like woken up from my sleep, and it wasn't really a big deal. I loved the hotel room. Other than that, everything was perfect. Great view, nice room, loved everything. Great, you know, nice shower in the bathroom, and I loved it all. But this noise would happen in the morning, and so I went down and I said like, hi, there's a random noise in my room at like 7 a.m. and it's been happening for a few days, and I was just wondering if anything could be done about it. And they were like, oh, it might be for the pool system, or because the pool was like on the roof, and they were like, yeah, I'm not, you know, we're not quite sure. So we go back and forth, and then they, or yeah, basically they just said, that's what's going on. And do you want to shift? Do you want to move rooms? And I was like, no, I love my room. I'm really happy with my room. It's fine. I'll just, you know, try to go back to sleep after the noise in the morning. And they were like, yeah, I mean, if you want to move, you can move. And I was like, no, 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 no. I love that room. And so the next day, you know, they called me up and they said, was there still noise in the room? And I said, yeah. And I was really hoping they would be like, okay, we're going to fix it. But instead they said, well, we have to insist you move rooms then. And I was like, I don't want to move rooms, you know? And they really insisted. And I was honestly kind of offended. Like I was annoyed. Like, I'm like, why do I have to move rooms? This wasn't even my mistake. And honestly, I love this room. And I started having all these negative thoughts about like the new room might have mold in it. The new room might not have a good view. I like this view. I'm happy with this view. I like the floor I'm on. I'm settled in. You know, my toiletries are like in the bathroom everywhere. Now I have to pack everything back up. I have to pack up my clothes. So I was really annoyed. And finally, I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. I'm disgruntled while I'm packing. I'm in a bad mood. And then they take me finally to the new room, and I'm just dreading it. And it was so beautiful and so much better than the old room. Floor to ceiling windows, gorgeous. I think they like had upgraded me, but they didn't want to tell me. And that's why they were insisting, I guess, that I moved. But they had, I think, slightly upgraded me for the like inconvenience. And the room was just beautiful. It was a much better view than I had, and no mold. Everything was great. Everything was so lovely. I'm always like terrified of mold in hotel rooms, because once you fall down like a mold horror story loophole, it's just, yeah, it stays in your brain. So anyway, but the room was amazing. That's the point. And I was so entrenched in that old room. All I could think of was the loss. All I could think of was what I was giving up. All I could think of was, but I like this room, because I didn't have any template in my mind of like a new room and what that was going to be like. I couldn't have even imagined. I was very happy with the view I had. I was very happy with the view of the beach, whatever, and the floor to ceiling windows wasn't even something I could have imagined. And when they showed me the room, I was just blown away. And that's something I think about all the time for myself, because I think it's so easy to get into your safety zone, into your comfort zone, and you can't even imagine what spirit has for you. You can't even imagine that there's something even better because you haven't seen it yet. I notice that so much when people sometimes get hung up on like an ex or an old person they used to date. This happens a lot, because the thing is, they can't imagine that there's someone else out there that's equally suited. They can't really imagine that the universe has endless love, endless options. And if they could fall in love that deeply once, then they can fall in love that deeply again. But that's what's coming through for you, is a lot of you guys need to have this trust and realize that, like I said, this is being done for your benefit. It's like you're being upgraded to this new hotel room, but you kind of have to trust that process. Maybe you're in the era now that I was in when I was packing my shit and I was just in a bad mood and I was just annoyed. And the whole time I was like, God, why do I have to move? Oh my God, this is such an inconvenience, you know? And it was so much better. So right now you might be in the packing mode. You haven't gotten to see the beautiful new room you're being upgraded to, but trust me, that's what it feels like for you, pile number one. Let me get into these tarot cards. What messages do we have for pile number one? Okay, so we have the King of Cups, the Seven of Swords, the King of Swords, the Page. Wow, a lot of swords. We have the Two of Wands. This one is the Justice card. Oh, wow, I knew there was going to be a Justice card. And finally, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So like I said, there's a big karmic aspect here. I actually also see that with like the Seven of Swords as well, because the Seven of Swords talks about deceit. So I really feel like some of you guys have had like major haters around you that haven't wanted to see you do well, and maybe have had, you know, have had it out for you, have not been like wanting to see you thrive. And maybe this is why, if you're feeling like you've had things cut off, or you've had people like really leave your life, or you've had kind of negative treatment that you're like, what the heck? Like, why was I being treated so badly? Or why did someone have to like kick me out to this extent? Just know that that had to happen, because those connections are not good for you. And those people do not have your best interest at heart. And that's why Spirit had to remove them so firmly. Again, they're going to get their karma. There is a karmic aspect happening here. And a lot of you guys have to stay focused on knowing that, trusting that if someone is being removed from your life, it's for a reason. I also feel like you have to kind of keep your head on straight. Again, it's easy to get overwhelmed when we're being kind of taken out of one life and moved into another. It's easy to let our emotions get the best of us with the King of Cups and then the King of Swords. I feel like you're also being called upon to just keep your emotions straight, not to go crazy, not to start wilding out. And I also feel like Spirit is saying they just want you to feel kind of comfortable and safe where you're at. You know, I feel like Spirit is saying, this is your time to relax, and this is your time to just kind of chill instead of panicking all the time. Like, you're building something that's so solid. You do have the Seven of Pentacles, but a lot of this is about relaxing into it and trusting that process, and just knowing that whatever happens, wherever you are on this journey, it's going to have such an amazing ending. I want to get into some message cards to end this reading for you. Pile number one. What messages do we have for pile one? The Seven Star Sisters, Birthing Creations, Tapestry of Life, Expression, The Void, Stop, Embrace Winter, Great Cosmic Womb. And that's a great message too, because for some of you guys, you know, there's always different parts of this journey. Like I said, just again, because I love to beat a metaphor to death, talking about that move from the hotel room, you know, there's that beautiful moment when you do go into the new hotel room, when you get upgraded and you get to see, oh my God, this is beautiful. Wow. But there's also that moment when, you know, you go down to the front desk, you first notice there's a problem. You first think, I don't really like this. There's something negative about this hotel room. Yeah, everything else is great, but that noise is really annoying. Maybe I should say something. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. Like, I know I went back and forth for days being like, should I mention this? Maybe it'll go away on its own. Oh, it's really annoying. And then I finally complained, you know? And then there's that moment when you're packing and you're just really in your head about it. And you're thinking of all the worst case scenarios and how bad it is, and how you don't want to have to do this, and how you liked and you were perfectly fine with everything, and why did I even complain, and I like this room and I don't want to leave, you know. And a lot of those emotions are just normal emotions, and it's okay to feel all of them. And of course, this is a metaphor for life, because a lot of times how change actually shows up in our life is the first thing that happens is there's a noticing of something that isn't working. There's a noticing of like, this really frustrates me. And this is why, you know, there's no such thing as a fully like negative emotion. Like, if you're feeling envious or jealous of someone, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, that could be an indicator that there's something about that life that you want. Maybe you're jealous of that because you're like, I know I could do that. I know I could be that influencer, or I know I could be that actor, or I know I could have that kind of money, or I know I could have that kind of partner, you know, that kind of relationship. But there's a part of you that doesn't want to like step out on the limb, doesn't think you can do it. And if you can realize that that is Spirit screaming at you, I want this thing, this is what I want, then you'll be able to actually take that step and make that happen. You know, it reminds me, like I said, of me hearing the noise in the morning and being like, I really, that woke me up every time. Geez, 7 a.m. is really early, but I don't know, maybe I should be okay with it. And a lot of times, what the key to manifestation is to paying attention to like, okay, what am I really feeling? I'm really unhappy with my living situation, or I'm really unhappy with my salary, or I really wish I was earning more money, or I really wish I was in a better relationship, or I was dating a guy who I was super attracted to, or whatever the case may be, you know? So the first step is realizing it. And then the next step is sometimes dismantling the old, packing your stuff up, going down to complain, accepting the fact that you have to leave, accepting the fact that, you know, you can't stay here here. And a lot of that can bring up negative emotions. And again, I feel like Spirit is reminding you that if you are in this stage of the journey where it just feels a little negative, or you're kind of afraid because you're holding on to the past, or you're feeling some anxiety pop up, or you're wondering, did I make a massive mistake? Or you're just noticing, maybe you're at the beginning of it and you're noticing like, I'm just not happy at my job, or I just, you know what, I really want to be in love. I have been lonely. I'm going to admit it. I'm lonely and I want to find a partner. You know, none of that is negative. That is a positive start of the journey. As soon as you acknowledge it and you can lean into it and you can be like, you know what, this is exactly, that's what I want. And I'm going to go after it and I'm not going to sabotage myself anymore. That's when you can make amazing things happen. So don't be afraid of any part of this journey, because you are undoing, like I said, almost like generations of ancestral karma. And that is a whole journey. That takes a lot of work. And don't be afraid of the process, and don't feel like you have to rush the process. It doesn't have to be happening right now. If you're not at the end result yet, that's okay. But a lot of you guys, like I said, you're building something so solid. And I also feel like there's this message from Spirit to really take stock of where you're at right now, because later on you're going to be like, wow, that was amazing. You know, that was so good. It's like, this is a funny metaphor, but I follow places I've been on vacation that had really amazing food. And I'll still follow them. Like even though I may have eaten there for like a week, I'll still follow them, or a few days. I'll still follow them. I like to eat at like organic places, I guess. So I tend to seek out like organic shops, restaurants, whatever, which are often vegan. And then they'll post like random like vegan cheesecakes, whatever. And I'll look at them and be like, that looks so good. And what was the point of this metaphor? Oh yeah, it's like in the moment when you're eating there, a lot of times you don't notice it. And then it's like when you're on vacation, you're at that amazing place, you're eating a delicious like raspberry chocolate vegan cheesecake, and you're thinking like, this is so good. But then it's like you come home, but it's like in the moment also it doesn't seem that remarkable, right? But then you come home and your mind goes to that vegan cheesecake all the time, or your mind goes to that cool place you went, or your mind goes to that roller coaster, or your mind goes to that beach you went to, or whatever the case may be, right? We all look back at our vacations. We all look back and reminisce about past times in our life, and how cool it is when we can finally live in the moment, focus and appreciate on where we're at, and really taste every bite of like that raspberry vegan cheesecake, you know, every morsel of it, and actually get to savor it and actually realize how freaking cool it is that we're alive. That's what's coming through for you right now. Like, I feel like you're at a high point right now. I feel like this is an amazing time period for you. And a lot of you guys need to focus on it, pay attention to it, and drink it all in, because this is exactly where you're meant to be. And you're building something so amazing. So that is what I have for you. Pile number 1. I really hope that resonates, guys. I mentioned it in my intro, but I'm not really posting as much over on YouTube. I'm just super busy in life. I do intend to come back to YouTube. It's not permanent. It's just that I don't really have the time anymore to post over on YouTube as much. However, I am still posting on Patreon. So if you miss my content, you can head over there to find me, and that's where my readings will be. And the link for that is underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description. I think we're doing a vote right now for new readings. So if you want to see that or participate in that, then come join. And hopefully the voting will still be happening when you join. I can't even remember the last reading I posted, to be honest, but there is a reading I posted just a few days ago, and there's lots of content over on Patreon, and that's where you'll be able to find me for the time being. And I am back to doing private readings, so if you want to book one of those, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. The link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So you guys got the King of Cups, the Sun, the Ace of Pentacles, the Hierophant, aka the High Priest, the High Priestess, and the Princess of Wands, aka the Page of Wands, reversed. So the first thing that's coming through is a lesson in sticking it out with the Page of Wands being reversed. If there's been something you guys have been wanting to do, wanting to create, but maybe it's been getting tough, or you've been feeling kind of uninspired, or you're getting a little bit bored, this is your message to stick it out. This is your message to keep going and not to just move on to something else. There is a message here in these cards about the value of like longevity, the value of just like showing up every day and just continuing on the same path. I feel like what's coming to my mind, I am not an expert on investing or finances by any means, so definitely don't take my financial advice. This is not financial advice, but I have heard that when it comes to stocks, like they always say, longevity is the winning game. Like just sticking in it for a long time is the way to win and the way to do really well. And that's so much better than even like the most knowledgeable person who is like trading a bunch of stuff and doing things, every single day, and they're shifting stocks and they are playing the game so well. But almost every time, that person who just has longevity and just doesn't sell and just sticks it out is going to do so much better. And I feel like there's that message for you guys about like having that long-term vision and just not giving up on something. Like maybe this is a creative project. Maybe you have been wanting to write a book. Maybe you've been wanting to start a YouTube channel or a TikTok or just do anything in your life. Maybe this could also be like a fitness journey or a health journey, or something with your finances, wanting to change your finances. But there's something that maybe some of you guys are like, okay, it's not happening like I thought. It's not happening on the same timeline. Maybe this is a message that it's not meant for me. And I feel like Spirit is saying, no, this is just a part of the process. And you need to kind of stick it out and just accept that. You need to understand that this may take time. And Spirit does not want you to just be distracted and give up on it because it's easy, because it's like, that's too hard, or I don't know, I want to do something more fun. The Page of Wands being reversed can show someone who is very easily distracted or who isn't really committing to a cause, and I feel like for you, Spirit is saying they want you to commit. They want you to like stick it out about something. They want you to have that long-term focus that's not just like, hey, this feels good to me in the moment, but it's like, let me think of the long-term effects. Let me think of where I'm going to be 5-10 years down the road. And I also feel like there's this message that if you stick with this, you are absolutely going to have success. And part of the journey is just you showing up and you being willing to continue to take one foot in front of the other and take those steps. And if you do that, pile number 2, I feel like you are going to be so happy with the outcome. You're going to be so excited about where you end up. And like I said, part of it is just sticking it out and not giving up and not just running away or being like, this is too hard. There is that message that like you are incredibly talented at something. Some of you guys are extremely creative. You got the King of Cups and the Sun card. So a lot of you guys are very divinely inspired. You were given a gift for creativity. And when you write or draw or make TikToks or make YouTube or even do, something that may not be like obviously creative. Like maybe you are that person that does love finances and sometimes you play around with stocks, but whatever you're doing, I feel like there is something that is so a gift from Spirit that maybe you were born with or you were meant to do it. You were meant to bring it out to the collective. And there is so much potential here. And a lot of you guys just have to have that staying power and just have to not give up, just have to be the one to like continue showing up day after day. And if you do that, I think you are going to have a lot of success. Spirit is also mentioning to me that so many of you guys in this pile are so charismatic. You're very gifted and you kind of stick out of the crowd because of that. You may sometimes feel a little ostracized. You may sometimes feel a little bit like people side eye you or don't know what you're doing, or even that you seem like kind of a weirdo or something. There's something very different about you. And with that Sun card coming out, it's definitely giving Leo and the Leo Aquarius axis. And of course, both those signs are always going to stick out of crowds. Leo, because it's just ruled by the sun and it gets lots of attention for it. Leo's beautiful gifts and beautiful talents and charisma. And then on the other side of that axis, Aquarius, that kind of gets attention for being a little bit weird, strange, and not just going along with the norm. And I feel like wherever you fall on this spectrum, whether you're the one who is a little bit weird and does things your own way, or you're just super gifted, people are going to look at you no matter what. Pile number 2, you just have that as part of your DNA, that you naturally get attention and people are naturally drawn and want to see what you have going on. So a lot of you guys need to just know that, accept that, that and not fight against that, okay? You were meant to get that attention. You were meant to shake up the collective. You were meant to be different from everyone else and to sometimes get under people's skin and leave that lasting impression. And I'm getting a strong message that the faster you can accept that, the faster you can be like, you know what? That's exactly right. That's who I am. And yeah, I am a different person. I am a little weird. And yeah, I am someone who is not just going to be able to fit in with the norm. The better off you're going to be, because this is the thing Spirit is telling me, is this charisma, this natural attention getting vibe that you have, that people are drawn to you, it's not going away anytime soon. No one is going to start ignoring you. No one is going to just not pay attention to you. You stick out of the crowd because you have this beautiful, bright light burning energy. You have a beautiful aura surrounding you. Okay. You have this like incredibly strong aura is what I keep getting. Like I almost am seeing people get disrupted by it. You may feel like sometimes people are just randomly hostile towards you, like weirdly nasty to you at the grocery store. And I'm also hearing that's a part of it. That's part of the reason why, is because your aura is so strong and so penetrating and so high vibrating that especially if someone is low vibrational, they're going to take that as almost like an assault, like an attack. Like what the heck just happened to my energy field? Someone just came in and disrupted it. It's almost like you just threw an egg on someone. I know that's a weird metaphor, but I'm just thinking of this time at my old apartment when these girls who live next door thought or asked me if I threw an egg at their apartment, and I was like, no. And they were convinced I had thrown eggs at their apartment, and they thought I was lying, and I was like denying it, which I guess makes sense because that's probably what you would do if you were throwing eggs at someone's apartment. And there was like not many apartments close to ours. We were like in a weirdly shaped courtyard, so they were convinced I lied. And eventually we found out it was some little kid in like some random neighboring room that was throwing eggs at everyone. But anyway, sorry, that's a tangent, but that's what's going to my mind, is like the way those girls were so mad at me, and they kept asking me all the time if, like you really didn't throw the eggs. And I was like, I really didn't throw eggs. What do you think I'm doing with my life? Do you think I'm sitting around throwing eggs at people? But that vibe, the way they were just so like it would stink eye me when they would see me, which I totally understand. If I thought someone had thrown eggs at me, I'd be stink eyeing them too, but I would never do that. But that vibe is like the vibe I'm getting for people with you, and it's because of your positive energy. It's not actually because you did anything bad or you did anything wrong. It's because your energy comes in so hot and is so strong and is so disruptive and is so powerful that a lot of people find it to be a disruption, especially when they're in a low vibrational mode. And they are, I'm not going to lie as well, they are a little bit threatened and jealous of you. That is very true. That's coming through really strong. Sometimes, you know, they may even sense that you haven't done anything wrong, but you have this beautiful potency. You have this beautiful, powerful, fierce energy that not everyone has. And a lot of people would love to have that. A lot of people would love to be able to command a fraction of the energy and attention that you do. And so that's why sometimes you get this random hostility. That's why sometimes you get this nasty vibe and you're like, what the heck is going on? Why is this person hating? What did I ever do to them? That's why, because they are comparing themselves to you and they're like, I could never be on pile two's level. And all this is happening very subconsciously, very intuitively. You are also probably a very old soul pile too, with the Hierophant and the High Priestess coming out. You may have literally been a light worker, energy worker, shaman in a past lifetime, and people can sense this very spiritual potency around you. It also can make them feel a little bit judged. You know how sometimes when you know someone is like really good at something, it like sucks to have to do that thing in front of them. Like, if you know you're like me and completely non-athletic and blessed with no athletic ability whatsoever, and say you're also like me and your parents made you try every sport under the sun, convinced they would one day find one that you would be good at, and then they're bitterly disappointed each time. That feeling of like, now I have to play soccer in front of that person who's the best on the team. This is so embarrassing. Or now I have to play tennis in front of this person, and I can see the like look of disappointment in their eyes as they see me completely messing it up. I remember one time I was playing a sport and a friend of mine asked me if I was doing it on purpose, like losing things on purpose, like because she thought I was so bad. She thought I was like faking it and like doing pratfalls for attention. And I was like, no, I'm really uncoordinated. But that's the vibe. Like, you know, that shame that pops up in your body where you're like, oh my God, like this is so embarrassing. I don't want anyone to see me just failing at this. I feel like that's what's coming through for you, where sometimes people can see that you just have this spiritual presence when you walk into a room. People can tell that you were this beautiful, wise, old soul, and they do feel judged by you. It's almost giving the vibe of like when you're Catholic and you go to confession and you have to tell the priest everything you did, and this feeling of like shame that might come up as you tell them about like the time you stole from a store or the time that you know, had casual sex with some random guy, or I don't know, you know, anything you would be embarrassed about telling someone about. Or the time that you, like, even if it's something small, like you got in a fight with your sister and you guys argued really bad and you told her she was so ugly or something. You know, it may not be that big of a deal, but you're going to feel really embarrassed as you tell that to the priest. And that's what's coming up to my mind. I feel like some of you guys get this visceral reaction from others, but what you really need to know is that is a flex and that is proof of how powerful you are. And actually, I feel like this power could be funneled in so many different directions because a lot of you guys are amazing manifestors. You give off this incredibly powerful energy and you don't realize it. And if you were to take that energy and just harness it in a certain direction with that Ace of Pentacles and actually direct it, like I said, step by step, slow and steady. You know, it's interesting. I said the first thing coming up was focusing and like following something through to the end, right? Because I feel like this makes so much sense with your energy field that now I'm getting downloads about, with the Page of Wands being reversed, because the Page of Wands can be a really fun energy. The Page of Wands is so like excited by lots of different things. This is why the Page of Wands, when you are doing a freaking love tarot reading and you don't know the guy that well and you're like, what is his personality? And you get the Page of Wands, just run, because that's like the lover boy that will probably like be so sweet and so much fun and so exciting, and then he's on to the next, you know. But like in that moment, he will treat you really well. He'll be fun to be around. He'll be exciting. You'll be having a blast, but he's just not going to stick around. There's something really exciting about the Page of Wands. There's something really like fun and entertaining, but there's no longevity there. There's no like long-term focus. And I feel like that's the vibe that some of you guys, you do have fun. You're enjoying yourself, but sometimes you might be too paying attention to like, what is my mood? What is my vibe in this moment? How am I feeling? And that can lead to you being easily dissuaded. Like I said, if you set out to like, I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to make this recipe, so I need to get this. But imagine you walk in, someone's rude to you and they completely disrupt your energy and you're like, I'm just going to go home. Or maybe you stay at the grocery store, you get everything you need, but you're in such a bad mood by the time you leave because of the collective energy around you, that when you come back, you're just like, I'm not even gonna, you know, I don't even want to cook anymore. I'm not in the mood to make this thing. And that's totally normal. But again, I feel like with the Page of Wands being reversed, Spirit is really telling you, you need to have that longevity. You need to really focus on what you want to accomplish and not let anyone else get in the way. You need to have almost like a list in your mind of what you want to accomplish, because I feel like there's so many people that sometimes get you off your path, pile two, excuse me. And again, you're so powerful that it's like your energy, they're almost like maybe doing it on purpose because they want to get a little taste of your energy. They want to get a little tiny bit of your energy. But if you were to really take that energy and direct it in a certain direction and streamline it and pour it into a certain task, oh my God, the sky would be the limit. You could accomplish absolutely anything, Pile 2. You are just that powerful. You got the sun card. Think about the sun. It's like they're always giving us these warnings where if there's a solar flare or something happens to the sun, like we're all instantly dead, because that's how powerful the sun is. The sun decides to not show up one day, we'd all die literally immediately. So we need the sun and we need you guys. We need your powerful, powerful energy. And another way I think that you can really, a good metaphor for your energy, because you are giving off this powerful sun, life force energy, is like I'm someone that likes to sleep in complete darkness. And there's been so many times when maybe I'm staying in a hotel or whatever, and there's like a little gap. Like I always get, I'm always gonna make sure as soon as I move in, I have my blackout curtains. Okay, I have my eye mask, I have everything. But if you're staying in a hotel or whatever, a lot of times they don't, maybe they have a blackout curtain, but it doesn't go all the way to the ground, and there's a tiny crack, maybe less than an inch. But that light comes pouring in, and you can, it's like the room may as well have been lit up with lasers, or you might as well have like 12 lights on. That's the power of the sun. The power of the sun is so powerful that it's like you could have a tiny crack in the window, you could have a tiny crack in the blinds, and it's just gonna illuminate everything. And that's what I want you to know. Your energy is so powerful, and this is why people react strongly to it. But if you were to take it and funnel it into like, I want to accomplish this, and I'm gonna stay on that path, and I'm gonna show up every single day and make this happen. Wow, pile number 2. I can't even imagine what you would be able to accomplish. And so this is about also not just paying attention to your mood or how you feel or what you're feeling like you want to do that day, but how can I show up? How can I listen to what I already committed to in the past? How can I follow through on what I've already set as an intention for myself today? And if I'm in a bad mood, that's okay, but I'm going to do it anyway. And if you were to do that, wow. I just think you guys would be able to accomplish whatever this is you want to accomplish in like a week. You would be able to get this done so fast. Let me get into some of these cards for you. Pile number 2. What messages do we have for pile number 2, Spirit? Okay, so we got connections, partnership, contract, commitment. This one is animal totems, animal energy and powers. Attachment, longing, desperation. Confusion, many choices, uncertainty. Phase, entanglement, emotional influence. And this is really what's coming through, is some of you guys are just being emotionally influenced by others, and you're letting people get under your skin that have no right to have that kind of power over you. Okay, they're honestly, I don't mean to be a jerk, but they're very unimportant people. They're not special people, and they shouldn't even be able to have any of your attention. And that's exactly why they're trying to clamor for your attention, because they don't feel powerful, they don't feel strong. So that's why they're trying to get your attention, because they can feel the power in you, pile number 2. And that's why it's going to be so important for you to take your power back. And maybe some of you guys should just be wearing like amulets, protection amulets, black crystals. That black crystals are so powerful, whether it comes to obsidian, black tourmaline. You should be wearing something that blocks out other people's energy so they're not able to even have that effect on you. And you should also set it as your intention and make that like a ritual. Like I know for me, especially once I started becoming more psychic, and a lot of you guys are highly psychic, you got the Hierophant, you got the High Priestess. When I became more psychic and started working on opening up like my third eye and my psychic abilities, that's when I started being like, I don't want to go out in public, to be honest. Like when I was younger, I was like a total party girl. I would go out all the time, like every night. And then it was like suddenly, as I started getting into astrology and tarot and spiritual subjects, I just noticed when I would be out at the club, I'd be like, this is the worst feeling. Like, and I would suddenly start hating it. I suddenly was like, God, I just don't even want to be here. And it just became this thing where like I would go out, and then I'd immediately be miserable, and I'd want to leave early. And my friends started noticing it. And I think that's so normal when it comes to like a spiritual journey. But what I realized at a certain point was like, yes, I was picking up accurately on people's vibes, but I also don't want to be controlled by someone else's vibe. Because if you're in a crowd of like 100 people, there's going to be someone having a rough day. There's going to be someone who just broke up with their boyfriend. There's going to be someone who just got dumped. There's going to be someone who got in an argument with her mom and she's sad, right? So you're going to be picking up on that collective energy. And if you're just completely wide open, then it's going to really have an effect on you. And that's why you really need to work on keeping your energy front and center and not allowing it to be disrupted as much by others. So it's like, I am going to stay in my lane. I am going to focus on my energy and set my intention. And I'm going to block it out. Even if that person had the intention, a lot of people subconsciously, they do want to hurt others, especially low vibrational people. They want to hurt others because they feel so unimportant. They want to get your attention. They want to ruin your day. They want to make you upset. They want to hurt you. And that's why the most powerful move is just like smiling at them and being like, anyway, on to the next, and not even letting it get to you. And sometimes people are doing that too unintentionally. They're not trying to be upsetting you. They're not trying to ruin your day, but maybe they've had a horrible day. Maybe they're really upset about something. Maybe they've been ruminating in their mind and they're feeling horrible and they can't help it that they're moping around and their energy is low vibrational. And that's why it's really important to work on managing your energy first and foremost, and like finding ways to de-stress, finding ways to discharge it, whether it's taking a spiritual bath, whether it's wearing those crystals, doing things to clear that out so you're not going to be as affected is so, so, so powerful. I also feel like for you, this could be, some of you guys, I know this is a weird message to bring in the middle of this reading, but some of you guys just need to take a vacation. And I'm feeling like, especially if you have a partner, this could be about really spending one-on-one time with your partner to just like recharge your batteries with them, or going on a vacation. If you're also single, there could be a message for some of you guys around going on vacation and finding a partner somehow with that. So there's a vacation needed for a lot of you guys in pile 2. If you're in a relationship, this should maybe be like a romantic one-on-one time. And there is that message for you, especially if some of you guys have been fighting with your partners or not getting along, or there's been any kind of conflict, or you've just been feeling disconnected, that like as soon as you guys get that one-on-one time, you're going to feel so reconnected. You're going to feel so much happier because of that. Okay. So some of it is just about, like I said, I'm getting the message, like maybe this also has to do with some of you guys in relationships where sometimes when you're very open to other people's energy, right? And like, say you go to work and you're really stressed out at work, and then you have to take the bus home or you have to drive home and you're stuck in traffic and it's just really miserable. And you're not going to be very happy. And you can take that energy and direct it towards your partner. And the partner can be very upset with you because they've also had a rough day and they were also at the office and they're also annoyed. And a lot of times your relationship can be affected by this collective energy. I mean, any one of us, any aspect of our lives gets affected when we don't have barriers up to this collective energy. This is why it's so important for very spiritual and very psychic people to center and ground themselves and block out the noise, block out the haters, block out the people that have any nasty energy, and stay centered and grounded in your own energy. But I do feel like for those of you guys who are in a relationship, yeah, a vacation would be a really nice idea. And you'd probably come back being like, oh my God, I feel so glad that we reconnected. I feel so glad that we were able to have that time together one-on-one with this person. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys in pile 2, if you were able to make it a priority to routinely cleanse your energy, routinely like sage your house, sage your apartment, burn Palo Santo, take spiritual baths, wear crystals, you would be amazed at some of the transformations. Some of you guys may have like actual haters around you. Let's see if there's any of that coming up in the tarot for pile 2. We want to get messages for pile number 2, Spirit. What messages do we have for pile 2? So this was the Hanged Man, the Moon, okay, the Page of Cups, the Knight of Cups, the Hermit, and the Ten of Wands. So yeah, I feel like some of you guys are carrying a lot of that energy from others. And a lot of you guys are going to have to learn how to just diffuse it as well. Like even doing breathing rituals or meditation rituals, so that you can stay focused on like the mood you want to have, the energy you want to have. And it's almost like, I'm not going to let this person get under my skin. I'm not going to let them bother me. And that's actually the biggest flex, because a lot of times that person who's being nasty or rude or unhelpful or whatever, that's their goal. They feel horrible, so they want to make you feel horrible. Pile number 2, again, like I said, I don't think you realize how powerful your energy is. I don't think you realize that if you were to really align and get your head in the right place and get your head in the game and not allow other people to steal your energy, steal your attention, some of you guys could be like best-selling novelists. You could be like huge on TikTok or YouTube or whatever you want. You could be so successful. A lot of you guys could accomplish so much at your job, in your personal life. This could even be about like dating or whatever. If some of you guys are really single, this could be about sitting down and writing that vision board and putting really specific things on it and making sure you're doing that. And again, the other thing I feel like comes up with when it comes to dating, I talk to people who are, single. And a lot of times when you say, are you on the dating apps? They'll be like, no, I'm not on any dating apps. I hate the dating apps, which I completely understand. Of course, the dating apps pretty much suck. But I always think when you're trying to manifest anything in life, it's like you've got to open as many doors as possible. It's kind of like if you want fresh air in your apartment, you might have to open all the windows up, right? Like, yeah, you can open one window and some fresh air is going to come in. But if you want to really bring in some new, fresh, beautiful summer, spring air, you have got to open all those windows and let them all blow in. And by the same token, when you're trying to manifest something in your life, why not try multiple avenues? Why not try this and try that and try this opportunity, that opportunity? Let someone set you up on a date, go out to the bars to meet people in person, be on the dating apps, maybe hire a matchmaker, whatever you want if you're really serious about it. And by the same token, if you're trying to accomplish something financially, why not invest in stocks? Why not have some savings? Why not have a side hustle? Why not open a small business? You know what I mean? There's so many different options. And I feel like what Spirit is saying is some of you guys get easily dissuaded. Like you go on that date and the guy's a total douche and you end up deleting your profile on Tinder or Hinge or whatever it is. Or you end up being like, oh, I'm never doing that again. You know what? I'm going to be single. And the reality is that, to make anything happen, you're going to have to kiss a few frogs before you come across your prince. If you're going to make something happen, you're going to have to try, and just continue on that path. And if you keep knocking on that door, eventually something's going to happen. It reminds me of one of my favorite sayings, which is, even the mightiest oak falls with 1,000 strokes of the axe. So even when you feel like, oh my God, I've been working at this for so long, it's never going to happen, you might just be one stroke of the axe away from it happening. And imagine if you are doing that 1,000 strokes of the axe and then the oak falls, right? So it's obviously a really big tree. You're probably at that point feeling pretty frustrated. By the time you're at like 997 strokes of the axe, you're probably like, oh my God, I've been doing so much and it still hasn't fallen. And why is this happening? And why has it not fallen over already? I've already put in so much work, but that is part of the journey. And if you can just keep pushing, it's almost an inevitability. Whenever there's something you really want in life, if you stay focused, if you stay determined, then it's just a matter of time. And a lot of you guys sometimes allow yourself to be taken off track because maybe you allow your emotions to play into this with the Page of Cups and the Knight of Cups. Maybe you allow yourself to be influenced by your emotions, like, oh, I was gonna write today, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm in a bad mood. Or like, yeah, I was gonna work out today, but I had a rough day at work. I'm just gonna chill. Or whatever the case may be. And I feel like Spirit is saying they really want you to have this discipline. They really want you to focus. They really want you to commit and then make it happen. And yeah, you can absolutely acknowledge your emotions, but at the end of the day, when you say you're going to do something or when you make a plan to make it happen, you're the one who needs to follow through. Let me get into some message cards for you. Pile number 1. Pile 2. What am I saying? What messages do we have to end this reading for pile 2? We want just one card at a time, Spirit. What message do we have for pile number 2? So this one says, you're not alone. Isolation, physical connection, community. That makes a lot of sense because I do feel like for some of you guys, there is that message, again, of going on vacation with a partner or reconnecting with your partner. If you guys have had, if you felt like you've been at odds with each other or you felt like you were just, not really seeing eye to eye, you may be influenced by other things, and it could be worth unpacking like what emotion comes up. This doesn't just have to do with being in a relationship, but I often find like whenever I'm feeling really agitated about something, or just agitated in general, maybe upset, maybe easily triggered, or just on edge, a lot of times if I sit and pause and just allow whatever emotion to come up, I realize it's about something else. It's not necessarily about that thing that I'm getting mad at. Maybe I'm like really annoyed because my laptop is being slow, or because I'm cooking and, you know, I slightly overcooked my eggs or whatever it is. And I'm like, ugh, and I'm in such a bad mood about it. It's probably not actually the eggs. It's probably something else. There's probably something underneath that. And definitely that goes for relationships when you find yourself at odds with your partner. And sometimes it's worth sitting with that, unpacking that for yourself and being like, hey, what is going on with me? Or why am I mad at my partner to this extent? Why are they bothering me so much? And then a lot of times, if you can take the time to connect with them, to recheck in, sometimes just to physically connect, like just hold hands or be next to them or whatever the case is, and actually spend some time. This is why I said a vacation for some of you guys would be a really great idea, and I am seeing that. You would be amazed at like, wow, actually it wasn't about any of that. And you know what? I really do love this person. And the value of that is so beautiful. Let's get one final card for you, pile number 2. So this one says, I remember, soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. And I feel like you're really being called upon to live that destiny life, pile number 2, and not to allow yourself to get caught, like I said, in thinking about how you're feeling right now, or this isn't for me, or this path is hard, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to take the easy way out. Some of you guys are building something that's really incredible. And yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard in the moment. And you're going to have to overcome a lot of setbacks and a lot of self-doubt, a lot of inertia, and a lot of different negative events and feelings and all of that. But I feel like if you can stick this out, wow, pile number 2, like I said, the sky is the limit. And a lot of you guys are destined to do something really amazing. And you're just going to have that faith in yourself. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. I really hope that resonates, guys. If it does, please give this reading a thumbs up, a like, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. I always love to know. And I do have my readings over on Patreon. That's where I'm posting for right now. I'm not really posting as much over here on YouTube. So if you're really missing my readings, that's where you can find me. I'm still keeping up with my posting schedule on Patreon. So you can head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. And if you join now, I think we should be doing a little poll. So you will be able to vote on the next topic you want me to cover over there. There's over 100 exclusive readings and new ones get posted all the time. And I'm just not really, I don't have the time to post as much over here on YouTube. I wish I did. I do miss you guys, and I do intend to be back here on YouTube once my life gets a little less crazy, but I'm just super busy. So I really don't have too much of a choice, and I have to like streamline everything. So Patreon is where I will be for the time being and for the near future. So come join me over there if you would like. The link is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description for my Patreon. And I am still doing private readings. So if you want to book a one-on-one session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. I am doing my pre-recorded readings, or you can get a live one-on-one session. You can do astrology, tarot, mediumship, channeling. You get to really choose how your reading goes, what we focus on, what we talk about, and there's lots of different options to choose from my website. So head to that link if you're interested in that, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that, like I said, is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading. So you guys got the Strength card, the 7 of Wands, the 10 of Wands, the Justice card, the Princess of Swords, aka the Page of Swords, and the Death card. So wow, I feel like some of you guys are facing a negative situation, and there could be a situation where someone is either taking advantage of you or expecting you to do a lot more work than is fair. They could also be kind of smearing your reputation or trying to put you in like a lopsided, very unfair situation. And I feel like Spirit is saying your pathway to handle this well, or to handle, get yourself out of this, is to speak up with the Princess or Page of Swords. So if you've been trying to handle this situation in silence, or you've been like, I don't want to cause a stir, or let me just keep going, I feel like you're going to have to learn to really verbalize problems you have with this. This could be as simple as like, this person doesn't really know what they're doing is unfair. Maybe they are not aware of the ways in which they expect you to do a lot more labor, or expect you to take care of them in some way, or they kind of like put everything on your plate. In which case, it could be a really positive outcome of just, talking to them and being like, hey, by the way, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been the one to make the coffee every single day in the office. So like, next time, can you do that? Or if they're doing it on purpose, and of course you're going to have to kind of use your intuition to see what you feel like this feels like. Or if you feel like they're definitely doing it on purpose, then this could be about speaking up about it and saying something, and not allowing or tolerating this, not having this person just be able to do it and you just stay silent and you just not say anything. For some of you guys, this is really about standing up and voicing the problems, and maybe saying it to others, because always, when we put some light on a situation, then someone isn't allowed to just get away with it the way when we are cowering in the darkness and we're kind of allowing someone else to control the narrative. That's when they have the power. When we start speaking up, that's when we have the power. So I feel like for some of you guys, this is about just learning how to literally verbalize. Maybe some of you guys get anxiety when you have to stand up for yourself. And if that's the case, I would say that's something to work on. Or maybe you can make a list beforehand of like all the things you want to say, or all the situations in which it's unfair. I feel like for you, this is about also learning to step into this energy of prioritizing yourself and realizing how important you are, realizing you don't deserve to kind of like pick up for everyone else, but instead you deserve to also be treated with respect. And you also deserve to be happy, to be rested, to be looked after. And you are not someone's like workhorse that just, gets rode into the ground. You are someone that is valuable in your own way, with your own energy. And if someone can't recognize that, then they maybe don't deserve to really have you in their life. This could also be about just taking back your labor. So instead of pushing and pushing and continuing to work so hard, watch what happens when you stop putting that work in. And maybe they can see that difference. Maybe they'll be able to notice the change, and be like, oh, this is actually pretty hard. And this person has been doing a lot. I feel like Spirit is saying you are so strong, but it's also like, don't be afraid to speak up sometimes. You don't always have to be the one doing all the work. You can be the one who says like, well, actually, I have been doing X, Y, Z, and let's talk about it. Let's name this. Like I said, a lot of times dysfunctional situations are only able to exist in silence. As soon as you reveal what's going on, it's like a vampire being exposed to the light. Like, people cannot handle that. And a lot of people who vampire, actually, that's a perfect example, because vampires suck people's blood to get energy from them, right? And so a lot of these people who constantly expect you to do all this labor for them, they're kind of vampires. They're unable to exist without you. And if you can open that light up and let everyone else know what's going on, like, hey, I just wanted to mention, I wanted to CC you in an email, I've been doing, I spearheaded this project or whatever. I know sometimes you can't do this, like office politics can be really hard and really tricky. But I do feel like there's something about you learning to speak up and you learning to verbalize, and something about finding a solution to this situation through some kind of communication, or speaking up about it, or calling it out and just noticing it and just putting it out there very logically, Yeah, I feel like for you, there is this energy around leaving. If you've been in any kind of people-pleasing energy, if you felt like you had to sacrifice yourself to make other people happy, this could also be about really leaving that behind and learning that you need to speak up for yourself. You need to actually say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. No, I have a problem with that. And no, I deserve to have a break too. Let me get into some of these cards for you. Pile number 3. What messages do we have for pile number 3, Spirit? Okay. Okay, so we got divine presence, the force of love and creation. Elementals, nature spirits, the 4 elements. Shamanic healer, cleansing, attunement. Personal guide, guardian angel, spirit family, and balance, centered energy, self-care. So where are you not having balance in your life? Pile number 3. Are you deliberately overextending yourself? Because this is the thing, is a lot of times people end up in these lopsided energy situations. But one thing you have to ask yourself is, have I been allowing that? Have I been signing up for that? Because, you know, you may find that there are so many different ways to pull your energy back. If you've been feeling really burnt out, really exhausted, it could be as simple as, if you have your own business, like raising your prices or taking a break and like posting like, yeah, I am too exhausted. I mean, I'm kind of taking a break right now because I'm super busy in my life, and I'm posting still over on Patreon, but not so much here on YouTube, because I was like, I have to. I mean, I have too much else going on in my life, and I just don't have the time. And I will come back, I'm sure. But it's like, the people who are really with you and who really support you, they're still going to be there on the other side. And the people that don't really support you, you know, they're not. And that's okay. It's not even anything against them. Maybe they'll come back in the future, but that's okay. And, you know, some of it is just being willing to advocate for yourself and realizing that you have an energetic choice. And it's probably not the best thing for you to actually show up really exhausted and depleted all the time. One thing I've noticed about pulling my energy back and having to be more selective. I mean, I love posting on YouTube, so it wasn't really something I wanted to do, but I just have a lot of other stuff happening in my life, so I couldn't really post. Well, one thing I've noticed is now when I do get a chance to film, I'm always like, wow, I feel like my energy is higher than it was. I feel like it's almost like when I first got on YouTube and I was just so excited to film and do tarot. And you realize like, oh, I was kind of depleted. I really was, you know, operating on low energy, on low battery. And there's so much usefulness to sometimes taking a step back, pulling back, and allowing yourself to do the things you love, to do the things that replenish you. Now, granted, my break, I'm not exactly just partying all the time. So I wish it was just a pure vacation, but I am busy with other stuff. But the thing is that I find when I do have time now for tarot, it's like even more fulfilling. And that's the thing, is sometimes we think we're doing something by just burning ourselves into the ground and just using up all our battery, but actually we could probably show up as a better version of ourselves if we were willing to take a step back and balance ourselves and find time for other things. So this could be as simple as working on your diet or your exercise routine. If you've been like, yeah, I do not have time to work out, I don't have time to go for walks. This could be about really working that in for your day and almost realizing that the best version of you is not going to be a version that's completely burnt out and 10 of Wands energy, like completely overburdened, stressing themselves out, not showing up as their best version, tired all the time. That is not going to be the best version of you. The best version of you is going to be a version that, yeah, allows yourself to get a full night of sleep, eats healthily, finds time to work out, finds time to do hobbies and things that you love, finds time to spend with loved ones and friends and family and romantic partners. There's not going to be as much like inspiration, creativity, or just positive energy flowing out of you when you feel so exhausted, resentful, and almost angry about all the energy you're giving to some situation. And whatever that situation is, eventually you're going to feel unhappy with it, right? It's even like for me with the tarot, if there's ever a time when I'm like, oh, I have to film this, I have to do blah, 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 and I get really exhausted, it's just not as fun for me. And even though I love tarot and I love this, it becomes something that almost can feel like a chore. And that's why I think it's so important to keep it as something you really love and to keep it as something that's almost like a gift to you, so that you can approach it with the right attitude, the right resonance, the right energy, the right reverence. You know, and people can sense that. They can sense when you're just doing something because you have to and you hate it, or you're not really in it, or your heart isn't in it. And they can sense when you're coming at it with genuine enthusiasm and genuine love, genuine passion. People can really tell. So this could be giving yourself that permission. Like, you know what? I probably would be happier if I went for a walk every evening after work. And yeah, maybe I'm not going to have as much time to stay late at the office, but if, I feel so much better when I go for a walk and I eat a healthy dinner, and I'm just so much more able to be present and happy and aligned, then let me go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and make that happen for myself. And I'm going to be a lot better of a version when I do show up if I take the time to take those steps. I also feel like Spirit is saying for some of you guys, yeah, you do need to rest. You do need to take more time for sleep. You do need to take more time for hobbies or things that bring you a lot of joy. And some of you guys have people in your life that are just burning you out. People who expect a lot from you, take a lot from you, and don't really give a lot back. And Spirit is also saying for some of you guys, this is just like feeling very personally hurt by that energy or that attitude. I don't know where you developed it. Maybe for some of you guys, it was during childhood. Maybe you had parents that just expected you to do a lot, or you were kind of like the scapegoat in the family. But this is what I'm saying is I don't even think you realize you are in an energetic contract. It's funny because the Justice card in tarot can represent contracts as well in like legal matters. And I feel like you don't even realize that like every time you agree to do something for someone that you really don't want to do and you know it's unfair, you're signing on that dotted line a contract that's like, I will give away my energy. My energy isn't that valuable. I often find a lot of empaths enter into these kinds of situations because a lot of them are born into families of origin that are difficult, or where the family of origin doesn't treat them that well, because part of their life journey to be a powerful light worker is to develop compassion and empathy. So they need to exist within a early family structure that teaches them that. So they may be, like I said, the scapegoat in their family, or their family always sensed that this person was a light worker, that they were highly compassionate and very wise. So even when they were a young child, their family would call upon them for advice and wisdom and ask them questions. And, they may not be very good at putting up boundaries because that's the only relationship that they've ever known, or their very early template for relationships was knowing that they just had to give and give and give and help. And they couldn't just exist as normal, as another kid who was just like playing with their toys. They had to help mommy, they had to help daddy, and they had to be wiser than their years. And it's very hard for them to step away from that role, because that is almost like they were put in that family for that reason, because it was a training ground. It's almost like they never have to go to school to be a therapist because they've been doing that since day one, right? But the downside to that is sometimes they don't know when to turn it off, and they don't know that they're no longer in that situation, that they are done with that lesson. They took that training. And it's almost like, once you're done with college, you don't have to go back and hang around in the classroom anymore. You don't have to go to the cafeteria and go eat lunch there. You don't have to, go to the study hall and hang out at the library. You don't have to be back in college or back getting your doctorate or whatever. You're done and you can move on. You can graduate. But a lot of people don't realize that, and they continuously find themselves in very lopsided situations with people who just take from them, and people who don't replenish, don't pour it back, and don't end up reciprocating. So they end up being either a therapist to their friends, or, the scapegoat to their boss who vents to them, or they just end up managing everything, taking care of a whole lot. And like I said, they don't realize, they keep asking, why does this happen to me? Why am I in this unfair situation? And a lot of times the reason is because they agreed to it. They signed up for that. They said, yeah, sure, I will do this for you. I always say, I think a lot of empaths, they end up saying or asking, I've done so much for my friends and I just don't understand why they can't show up for me, or I did so much for my partner and I don't understand why he's not showing up for me, or I did so much for my parents, but they blah blah blah. And I always think, when you do too much for people, it's like, imagine if every morning you just decided to start baking someone banana bread and leaving it outside their door in your neighborhood, or maybe it's like a different cookie every day. And you just decided, you know what, I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to leave cookies outside this person's door in the hopes that they're going to pay me, in the hopes that they're going to be like, thank you so much for these delicious cookies. These are worth probably $10 if we got them at like sprinkles or wherever. So let me go ahead and give you some money and let me leave some cash outside my door. And if they keep expecting that, why did I say sprinkled? I meant crumble cookies. Anyway, so if they did that every morning and they kept expecting to be paid and they got madder and madder and madder, like, why are you not paying? Why are you not giving me back, some cookies in retribution? Because, I have given you a whole lot. And they started being more and more upset about that, but they kept giving cookies. That would be highly irrational. And if you came to someone and said, these people really took advantage of me. In fact, they've never paid me for any of the cookies I left them. And I left them cookies every single day for a year. You'd be like, yeah, duh, because you gave them that for free. And why would they ever think you needed money from that? Like why? You're the one who agreed to this. You're the one who signed up for it. You're the one who would wake up in the morning and start mixing up the batter and, melting the butter and taking out the flour and the chocolate chips. That was your choice. And a lot of times you have to take ownership for that dynamic you sign up for in relationships, for the way that you have allowed yourself to be mistreated. And I'm not trying to blame anyone. I know also people can get into abusive situations, and a lot of times it does need to be unpacked. But there's so much more power when we realize we don't actually have to engage in that. We don't actually have to do this. We don't actually have to keep putting ourselves in this secondary position. I remember so vividly a friend of mine that taught me this lesson, because I would always come over to her place and we would always vent and have wine, and she would really talk to me about her problems with boys and guys, and she was dating a lot, and I would talk with her about all her problems. And I just remember one time it kind of dawned on me, like I had shown up for her. I think I left work early. Yeah, I did. I left work early because she texted me and she was in a panic about one of her exes who had something horrible happen to him. And anyway, she texted me being like, can you come over right away? And I literally left work early. I was like, oh my God, and so I left like 15 minutes early, and I was like, I'm going to rush over. I'm going to get you some wine. We're going to talk. I feel so bad. And I really thought I was doing so much for her. And I remember we showed up at this restaurant. We were going to vent and have like a girl session, and this guy she had been dating, who I totally hated. I thought he was such a douche. And she had made me meet him a bunch of times. But she was still hung up on her ex, and she was upset about what had happened to her ex. Anyway, the new guy shows up, and he and I hated each other. Like, he hated me, I hated him. And he was just like, it was just the most annoying feeling, because I was like, oh my God, I hate this guy, but you made me show up, leave work early to meet him. And I realized, why am I even doing this? Why do I feel a need to do this? I honestly think there's something pathological for a lot of us light workers. We feel this compulsion to help. And I think sometimes it's because you don't have an avenue to direct it. It's like you may feel this deep soul calling to help others, but there's no way for it to go. You have no way for it to be funneled into. This is why also a lot of women who have like cancer placements can end up mothering men and dating really dysfunctional men, because you're like, I need to mother something, so let me direct this, and I'm randomly going to direct it out at the world because I need to mother. I need to take care of things. And it's like, as soon as you have a child, a lot of those women, they will break up with that partner who's like the dysfunctional loser partner, because suddenly that itch has been scratched. They have an actual baby that needs to be taken care of. And they are no longer feeling happy about this loser like man child that they're with, who suddenly needs to be coddled all day. And the things that they used to overlook and be like, it's fine, because they were getting something out of that. Now they're like, heck no, you're not an actual baby. I have an actual baby. And that's the thing I realized in that moment with her, is I was like, what am I doing? I'm trying to help this lady. She doesn't even reciprocate it at all. And it wasn't just that. It was some other things she had done. She was friends with someone who had been really shady to me that I told her, like an ex-friend of mine. Like, I had told her all about what had happened. And then I find them hanging out, and I was like, what the heck? They met through me. Anyway, the point was, it was such a realization when he showed up there and he had this like smug look on his face. And I was just like, oh my God, I want to leave. I don't want to be on a third wheel on this horrible date as well. with this guy who's such an obnoxious douche. And the point of that is I realized, but I was the one who left work early. I was the one who rushed over. I was the one who was like, absolutely, let me grab a glass of wine, a bottle of wine for you on the way, and we can talk at your apartment. And then I end up out to dinner with these two. And I was like, oh my God. But so many of us sign up for those situations. And we have to also take accountability that, like, I chose to be in this situation. I'm the one who did this. She didn't even ask me necessarily to leave work early. I think she was like, can you just come over and we can talk as soon as possible? And I was like, yeah. And that's the thing. So many light workers end up in these really dysfunctional, one-sided, lopsided situations with someone who just takes from you, takes from you, takes from you, and doesn't give anything back. And that's why it's also really important to pay attention to that, to notice the friends that only invite you over when they have a problem, when they need to vent, or only invite you over to get advice, or only invite you over when they need something. And when you're like, hey, I'm having a rough day, can you bring me a bottle of wine? They're nowhere to be seen. They're like, oh, I'm too busy. So I feel like for you guys, there is that message around making sure that you're not over giving and really realizing, because a lot of times it's also a fundamental feeling of a lack of self-worth. You deserve to be treated well. Pile number 3, you deserve to be looked after with love and reverence, and with someone who wants to give back to you, not with someone who just wants to take from you or who doesn't think you're that great. And also the other thing is, you might be operating under this subconscious belief that the only way you can be valuable in relationships is by overgiving. And then if you do believe that, of course, you're going to find people who also think that. So once you shift your mindset into realizing your presence is a gift, your being in someone's life is a huge gift for them, you are no longer going to sign up for completely and totally unfair situations. Let me get into this tarot deck for you, pile number 3. Let's get some tarot for pile 3. Okay, we got the 4 of Pentacles, the 10 of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the Ace of Cups. Okay, 2 aces. The Judgment card, and the Queen of Cups. So yeah, I feel like there is that message that whatever you give away, pile number 3 will be given back to you tenfold. So if there's a relationship that you're like, I really need to let go of this, I feel like this person isn't on my side, or this person isn't giving as much to me back, you might be amazed that as soon as you cut this person out of your life, you have someone coming in who's absolutely incredible and so supportive of you. And sometimes that does take a while. It takes a while to shift out of old energetic patterns. So if you're used to this, and this is the only way you know to be in relationships is by over giving, then that's worth taking stock of it. Another thing I noticed is, and I don't mean to like put blame on women in this because I don't think it's women's fault, but a lot of times women also can get in very lopsided like domestic situations where like they're doing all the household labor and their partner is not doing anything back, right? Their partner is just chilling, or their partner is just like, hey, I golfed all day Saturday. Anyway, how were the kids? And they're completely overwhelmed. They're feeling completely blood dry, and they are, of course, upset and resentful because, duh, they're not an idiot, and it is a totally messed up situation. But the thing is that a lot of times they never have voiced that. They've never said to their partner, hey, this is totally unacceptable, and I feel like I'm drowning, and I cannot deal with another Saturday where you go golf and I'm home alone all day with the kids, all by myself, and I'm really starting to resent you, and this is a problem. And they're not wanting to do that. They're not wanting to have that conversation for whatever reason. And until you're willing to have that conversation, of course, the unfair situation is going to be able to continue. Now, is it messed up that anyone would even put you in that situation in the first place? Sure. Sometimes people also do things unfairly and they don't even realize they're doing it. So that's why it's so important to voice that, to pay attention to that. And I think that's also why you guys got the Princess of Swords in the initial card pull, is because the Princess of Swords, as with all the sword suits, they're going to pay attention to exactly what is happening. There's a high level of intelligence when you come to the suits. of Swords. So when you're talking about the Page, Knight, Queen, Queen, King of Swords, you're talking about someone who's going to take stock of absolutely everything and keep things in their memory like a steel trap. Like they are not going to forget a single detail, right? And I feel like for you, you're going to have to be very on point. You're going to have to be noting all of this. And you're also going to have to be a little bit of a savage. Sometimes we can be taken advantage of when we're afraid to step into that Swords energy, when we're too in the Cups energy, when we're in too much of that, the Cups, the sweet niceness of the Cups, of the like, oh, I'm such an empath, and yeah, I'll help you, and yeah, sure, no, it's okay, you don't have to pay me, it's fine. Whereas the Swords are like, yes, you have to pay me, this is my price, I don't really care that you're that emotional. I mean, Swords are literally ruled by air, right? And if you think about the air as an element, it's not super emotional, it moves on, it's not going to care that much. And when we can actually take that energy where we're not as glommed down by other people's problems. I know that's maybe harsh to say as well. Like, I know, thinking about that friend, I really did feel bad for her. What had happened with an ex to her, like it was awful. And I felt really bad for what she was going through. She was processing so much grief, and she was processing an immense amount of loss. And it was like the love of her life, and she was really upset. But at the same time, she was also very selfish with me. And so even though I can feel that empathy, it's also important for me to have boundaries and be able to recognize that even though I may feel bad for her, she does not have the ability to be reciprocal with me. So even though I may feel bad and have that emotion of like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, I'm not going to allow myself to get glommed on into a situation that is very fundamentally unfair to my energy, where I'm giving and giving and giving. And it's going to stay the same, and I'm not getting anything back. So that's why it's very important to sometimes step into that Sword energy and be like, this person did this for me, that for me, that for me, and I did this back, whatever. But, I'm going to take note of exactly what the heck went on, and I'm going to look at it in a very dispassionate way, not in a, but we've been friends for so long, or like, but I feel bad for them because they did this, or I want to be nice, or I don't want to be the bad guy, but in a, actually, I'm fine being the bad guy, and this happened, and that happened, and what am I getting out of it? And paying attention to that, paying attention to the details. It's like when you write a budget, you don't feel like, but I really love that dress. And even though it's $300 over my budget, I'm just going to buy it. I really want it. When you're in that budget writing mode, you're like, yep, the dress is too expensive. That's it, period. And sometimes you have to sit down and look at a relationship and pay attention to how much you've been giving, how exhausted you are, or how tired you are. And it's not just a relationship. Sometimes it's a job. Sometimes it's a life situation. But really paying attention to, how do I feel? And am I getting whatever out of it? And if I'm not, how can I take my energy back? How can I communicate about this or switch this situation up? And if I can't, then oh well. And let me just not allow myself to be upset. Let me just keep it moving and keep things cool. That's what air is really good at. It's like, air does not touch the ground. Air doesn't get bogged down. Air doesn't dive down into water. It just stays on the surface and kind of like stays in its happy place, and then it's on to the next. The wind blows and air is moving on. And sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we don't need to be crying a river for someone or being really upset for someone. Sometimes we just need to stay focused on, again, paying attention to what we're getting out of it and looking at those details and not allowing it to be covered by an emotional lens. Let me get into these message cards for pile number 3. Ooh, okay, so you guys got 3 cards called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. This one is Weight of the World, Boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. Wow, so literal for what you guys are dealing with. And then finally, A New Earth. It's happening. Hold the vision. So I love these cards for you. And I think this called card really resonates. Obviously, we got the Weight of the World, Boundaries, let them go, and it's not yours to carry. That also resonates so much. I do feel like boundaries could sum up the theme of this reading. But also with this called card, again, I feel like a lot of people sometimes who have some kind of deep soul calling to help the collective, they're a light worker, they can end up in very lopsided, unfair situations because they need to direct that energy somehow, somewhere to someone. So they end up directing it towards people who don't really deserve it, because like it has to be given out somewhere. It has to be taken care of. So it's almost like, I know this is a little weird, but sometimes women who cannot like have kids, they might buy, they sell these dolls, and they're like really lifelike baby dolls that look exactly like real infants. And those women will like sometimes, I mean, there's obviously just doll collectors, but there are also women that they will like take care of this infant and you know, feed it with a fake bottle, and like dress it up and give it baths and clothe it and take it out in public in the stroller, because they feel this deep need to mother, but it never happened for them, so they need to direct it somehow. So they literally will take a fake baby doll and direct all this love they have that they would have given towards an infant to the baby doll. And I feel like that's a message for you guys, is like we have to sometimes take stock. Sometimes when we find ourselves in those dysfunctional patterns, it's not even like necessarily all a bad thing. We shouldn't necessarily keep engaging in that behavior, but it can also be a powerful sign that like you're ready to direct this. You have a powerful spiritual mission. And maybe that's why you feel the need to give so much of yourself to these situations, because there's a part of you that's like, I am a healer. I am a light worker. I want to direct this to someone, and I don't know how to do that. So let me direct it towards this dysfunctional situation. So sometimes when we find ourselves like we're the mom of the friend group, or we're, you know, the one who always manages things, or we're the ones who always talk to customers, or we're the ones who always help people in stressful situations, we could take that and extrapolate from that some kind of gift. Like for me, I felt like I was always the one who would talk to difficult customers, people going through it, people going through a really hard time. That's when I would like shine. And now I feel like it's so funny because with my tarot, it just doesn't hit the same for me anymore. Like I do that in private readings, and I do that on my channel. So when someone now comes up to me and they're like, oh, this happened, blah, blah, blah. Whereas in the past, I'd probably sit and talk to them for like 30 minutes, and it didn't matter if they were a stranger. I'd be like, yeah, like, okay, what happened? Okay, I think you should do that. Now I'm like, okay, you know, I send you so much love from my heart, but also like, I have this to do. I can't really sit around here and talk to you. And it just doesn't hit me the same. I don't feel the same compulsion. So what I'm saying is, wherever you are over giving or doing this 10 of Wands energy, doing too much, it may be worth spending time unpacking whatever that is and being like, okay, how do I take this energy back and direct it towards something where I get something back from it? I get an equal payout instead of just over giving, because you do have such a powerful gift and talent, pile 3. This is just about making sure you're using it in a reciprocal and fair way and not over giving. So that is what I have for you. Pile number 3, I really hope that resonates. And if it does, please let me know. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Leave this a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that little bell. All of that really helps this channel. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can head to my Patreon. I'm not really posting here anymore on YouTube as of the current moment. I probably will come back to YouTube in the near future, but for right now, as far as the future goes, I am going to be over on Patreon and only posting very sporadically over here on YouTube. So if you want to see me, that's where you can find me. I'm just too overwhelmed in my own life, as I mentioned, and I'm just too busy with other things to post as much on YouTube. I hate that because I do love posting here, but that's just what it is right now. So if you want to join me on Patreon, you can. The link is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. And if you would like to book a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. Whether you're looking for a tarot reading, an astrology session, a channeling session, a mediumship session, whether you want it to be pre-recorded, live, there's lots of different options to customize your time with me. And yeah, I am doing those. I took a break for that too, but then I am starting them up again. So that's where you can find me if you want to do a session with me, and it is my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.